You guys looked fantastic in your first game where you beat up Fable. Coming into this next set, how you feeling?
We're feeling really good. I think Astral looked pretty bad when they played Rival earlier today, and I think we'll beat him pretty easily, I think.
And Mr. White, I actually wanted to ask you, because in game 1 against Fable, you actually ended up bringing out the Soul, which for a while we haven't really seen a whole lot of her on console. So what kind of provoked you to do that?
Just to make sure I stay alive after and during fights. Pretty much it.
So that's one individual pick. Watching you guys as a whole, we've kind of really got a chance to see what Elevate's strategy is. We kind of know what to expect. Going into the next portion of the tournament, do we have any surprises, whether it be individual picks or otherwise?
Yeah, we have I think we have a lot of us have a lot of gods in our god pools, and we're ready to play anything that we need to, that we think will work against with their play.
And we brought it up actually during the post-game interview where you guys kind of had a little bit of a struggle in both of the games, at least during the early portions. So what's the team environment like when you're trying to transition out of that early game stage that goes roughly into the mid-game team fights?
Yeah, we made mistakes early in both games, I think, but we're just a better team than them, so it's pretty easy to not get snowballed on, because I didn't think they really knew what to do once they got the lead against us.
You guys have really succeeded as a team, as a unit. All five of you guys really step up and kind of do your thing. But is there a player that you specifically look to in hard times to really play through or be the hard carry for you guys?
I'd probably say Krim. He's always probably been like the best player on the team. He is a world champ too, so that makes sense. So yeah.
And let's just assume that it's not necessarily going to be Astral that you end up against. Like, say you beat Astral here, and then they have to play off against Rival. Who do you think makes it out from those two that you guys would have to face that you would prefer to face?
I think Rival was actually a better team, but I think their drafts were just really bad. I think if their drafts are better, I think we'll be playing them in the finals.
You've got a smile on your face, Mr. White.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about that one?
Well, I agree. I think Rival played a lot better than Astral did, but they just kind of choked. So I think if they focus better in the next set, that they'll end up winning. That's it.
Yeah, you guys are certainly looking great. We already asked you about how confident you guys. You certainly look it. So just congratulations on making this far, and good luck in the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that next one from Elevate will be up against Astral Authority. North America versus North America in the upper bracket. For you guys at home, if you're just tuning in, this is a look at that bracket.
Final set of the day. Elevate takes down a Fable 2-0 to start our day, and then Astral Authority found the 2-1 victory over Rival, but that was anything but easy. Rival actually throwing game 1 of that set in my mind, and could have been Rival moving on, but they do go down to the lower side and beat up on Fable a little bit, so Rival will go on to play tomorrow, and they will play the loser of this Elevate versus AA set.
And this is a big set for both these two teams. Now let's have a little look at Elevate and how they've performed so far. Their opinions of the games. They seem quietly confident. The #1 seed after all, even though Astral, a lot of people will recognize more of those names.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like Elevate, they don't have that star power necessarily that Astral Authority does if you're not constantly tuning in every week.
Yeah.
But when you watch these guys play, they do have that star power. I mean, Crimson in the mid lane, as Mr. White mentioned, a world champion. That guy on your screen right now, DoctorL, has been the driving force of this Elevate roster for years at this point. And he has become a real star in the jungle.
I'm thinking about that. I mentioned it on broadcast when I casted him earlier. He used to be a solo laner. That's where he kind of began
way back
his
in the day
career here, and now finds himself in the jungle, kind of dictating the pace for this team. Where's the superstars? Where's the future superstars of this team?
I mean, I think Nexamiss has really started to grow into one of those stars in the solo lane. He's been playing very well. I still think that Crimson in the mid is the guy to watch, but how well Nexamiss and DoctorL play off of one another is very key. Mr. White is a really sturdy ADC. Like, he's just consistent. He's a good performer. He plays well on land. Doesn't seem to let the nerves get to him too much. He's not going to outright carry every game for you, but he's not going to lose you many games, and I think that's an important quality to have. And the lane rookie here, IAmTheHamster, the solo laner, had played pretty well in their first set against Fable. I don't think that we saw too many nerves out of him. This is going to be the harder matchup, though. You know, how is he going to be able to control that? But DoctorL's been to so many lands at this point that he can kind of give some of that knowledge over to Hamster and kind of teach him how to play on land.
And that's fair enough. I mean, Elevate, though, in the grand scheme of things, I feel like they had a pretty tough time getting here, too. It wasn't no easy task to get through Fable with how it looked in the first 10, 15 minutes of each game. But their opposition, Astral Authority, didn't have the easy of time either. We caught up with them before they came into this set.
Hey, what's good, you guys? Astral Authority again. Cape, what are you? Layers of Death on the left-hand side this time around, and Bob E, otherwise known as Inbound. Congratulations on making it this far. You guys looked pretty good against Rival. That said, not a clean victory. Rival certainly turned up. Talk to me about playing against the Europeans.
They were definitely better than we thought they were. So we kind of not underestimated them, but I mean, I guess, okay, underestimated them a little bit, yeah. But they played really well. Fly is a really, really good player.
Did you ever have any concerns there, like heading into game 3? Like, was there ever that moment of panic, I guess, between your teammates where you're like, oh man, we might not actually take this one home?
We never really felt like, at least me personally, I felt that we just would have won. I just really didn't have like a feeling. I kind of just was, I'm ready to play, you know.
That's interesting that you say that, because watching this Astral team, things have changed. Oboronic is obviously a big part of how you do things, as opposed to moving away from the classic Wolves, Chaotic Purpose kind of carry of before. Game 3, however, was classic. Layers, you turned up. I mean, what went through your mind during those games?
It was just, I don't know. I just kind of just like, I was just grouping with my team and just fighting, honestly. I got a big lead because I put the effort behind early. I killed her off of rotation. My coach just came in. He's like, you got to sit on her. Just kill her, bro. And I'm like, all right, sounds good.
Usually a good game plan to camp in Aphrodite. I mean, she is a little bit isolated. But getting back on track with everything, I mean, you guys are about to face off against Elevate. You've been playing them for quite some time in NA. But assuming that you beat Elevate here, who do you think is going to come back to you guys, meet you guys in the finals?
Between Elevate and Rival? I guess probably Elevate.
I think Rival.
You think Rival?
I think Rival.
I think probably Elevate. I think so. My old teammate, I think Krim will be able to carry Elevate.
I think if he doesn't get Uller, they lose.
Yeah, it'll be a really good game. It'll be a really good game.
Well, so here's the better question. Instead of doing our job of guessing who's going to be there, what's your job? Who would you rather play against?
Elevate.
Yeah, probably Elevate. We have some stuff ready for them. Yeah.
Awesome. Good luck to you next one, guys. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, perfect end to that little interview between the two teams there. Seeing Astral Authority say they have things planned for Elevate. This could get interesting then.
They have to have been planning stuff for Elevate, because you expect yourself to win your game, your first set, and you expect Elevate will as well. So you know that this is going to be a team you go up against, and they played against each other a lot during the few weeks of the spring split for the Smite console series. These two teams are very familiar with one another. Inbound and Crimson, former teammates. Like these teams know each other inside and out.
But the big difference is Elevate the #1 seed. So Astral have their work cut out here technically with how the statistics have shown us throughout this season so far, that Astral need to find some momentum against Elevate here. It needs to start off in game 1. Best of 3 after all today in the upper bracket. Let's get into it. Picks and bans underway. Elevate will have the first pick and the first ban.
Now, it wasn't in that interview, but in the post-game interview after their set against Rival, Astral told us that they are not going to let Crimson get Uller, and you heard him even mention it right there. So with Elevate in first pick, this has got to be an Uller ban coming up from Astral. If they're talking that much about it, they feel that pick is that important to Crimson in the mid lane, they're going to ban it right away, and that's exactly what they do.
I mean, the option is to leave it up. Expect if Elevate go for it, you do get 2 big old picks for yourself then if you leave a couple of options available, but not to be the case this time around. Elevate will ban away the Dargy. We mentioned this earlier on. Dargy on the console seems to be the big go-to, it seems, in the jungle. Very, very focused here, not so much on the PC.
Yeah, a little bit surprising, but I mean, Chaotic Purpose has played it for a long time now in the jungle. DoctorL obviously has it in the God pool as well. I feel like DoctorL is one of the most flexible God pools of any player, period, let alone any jungler. Usually junglers have a little bit of a narrower God pool because there's usually certain gods that do certain things in the jungle, and you just kind of pick your play style there and what you want your team comp to do. DoctorL could literally play this Cerberus jungle, and I would say, don't love it, but DoctorL could probably make it work.
Well, Elevate have locked in the Cerberus. Nexamiss has played a bit of it so far, more than likely for him in the solo lane. Why is this being prioritized so early by teams, Aggro?
It's Cerberus, another one of those. Dodgy didn't get prioritized too much on PC. Cerberus now is. I think console teams just really value that team fight presence that Cerb brings. Plus, it's a dissuader against the healers that we saw a lot of the PC teams going for.
That's a very good point, and I believe that did work out for Elevate up against Rivals Aphrodite earlier on.
Oh, yeah.
But Astral will take Odin and Agni. Fire and Rings of Death, both combined together nicely to cause a couple of problems for Elevate.
Not surprised that Astral wants to prioritize Boronic's god early while also taking a god that Crimson likes to play off the board early. You can tell the respect that these dudes have for Crim in the middle lane for Elevate, and they certainly deserve with how well he usually plays.
And Wolves, Odin loves to go to Wolves loves to go to Odin, I should say.
Yep.
But Odin likes to go to Wolves because in their hands he does look like a god.
Yeah, it's true. Peas in a pod, those two, it seems like. And Thoth is another classic Crimson pick. This is kind of the pick that he made his name for himself. But
Thoth into Odin.
Thoth into Odin. And I think that's why we see Astral pick the Odin early on. They know that Crimson wants to play the Thoth. So they say, all right, you can, but you're going to have to pick a bad matchup for it, and we're going to pick the Odin to really try and shut that down.
Astral now going to go for a very quick Khumbakarna pick here for Inbound. We'll see how this works out for them now, because there's a lot of CC available with the Khumbakarna, a lot of control in these team fights. I guess the plan with that is to be a defensive option there. So it could be run aggressively, obviously, Khumbakarna, but with an Odin, he's going to be the one to lead the charge on it.
This is just a comfort pick for Inbound, and he played it against Rival as well. Inbound likes to put himself into the real thick of a team fight. He likes to bait himself quite a bit, and Khumba, one of the best gods at buying time in those situations. You even take the sleepy time passive out of it. The time you buy by epic uppercutting, then that knocks up whenever that person hits the ground, the yawn, all that kind of stuff, it lends itself nicely to Inbound's playstyle.
Zone control is what I always think of with Khumbakarna through multiple different variations of the factor. Elevate, though, with one ban left here. Obviously, they're going to need a Hunter and a jungler, realistically, for Astral, unless Odin's going to go there. So Elevate have to pick between one of those two. They've already banned a Jingwei.
I think that Elevate should go for a jungler ban here because Jingwei is clearly a comfort pick for Coviiii. They prioritize it against Rival. I think I would have rather seen that go for a jungler like a Nemesis or something like that. Nem or Serket. I think Nem being open is just crazy right now against Chaotic Purpose, who has been a great Nemesis player during his time in the competitive console scene. Cupid is Cupid, man. Like, how scared are you of that, really? It's really great into the compositions that really rely on mobility. This isn't really one of them so far for I mean, it's good into the Odin ring. I don't know. I'm never that scared of Cupid. I am scared of KP's of his Nemesis.
It's interesting to see Astral not prioritize Coviii's pick as early. I mean, they've done that previously in previous sets this weekend, but today, in this set specifically, they're like, you know what? Let's leave until last. And that's kind of exposed him now, because Elevate have gone to two of the picks that he's kind of been focused on most of the time.
But at the same time, I just don't think that, even when Coviiii gets his priority picks, which seems to be Jingwei, is it that much more impactful than when you give Oboronic his priority pick, than when you give Wolves or Layers of Death their priority picks? I think that you give your best players their best options right away. Coviiii is going to just try and do his job no matter what you put him on. Let him do that. Give it to your stars.
I'm seeing the Ho-Yi hovered over by Elevate, and I'm kind of wishing they'd look towards an Anher maybe against the Artemis matchup, and especially against a Khumbakarna too. Even the Odin, add that factor in. I mean, there's plenty of things that an Anher can get away with a little bit more in this laning phase, but it looks like it may be going the Ho-Yi here.
But Mr. White is a Hu-Yi main. He used to kind of get ridiculed as a Hu-Yi one-trick.
Everyone is a Hu-Yi main, though.
How could you not be? It's super fun, but
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
Mr. White is like the Hu-Yi main. Now, so that wouldn't really surprise me. It gets him out of Odin Cage. You want to have that mobility. I agree with you. I think Onher into Artemis is a really positive matchup for the Onher most of the time. If he falls behind, then it gets kind of ugly, but that can be said about basically anyone. Into Artemis. Ares. I mean, okay, so you see Odin, Agni, two gods that rely on mobility that can get crippled out, and that don't have CC immune ultimates. That's all well and good, but I think Khumbakarna can really give Ares problems, can really interrupt a lot of what he wants to do in the lane with just that mighty yawn. Well, it can be bullied out by Artemis a little bit. I don't know. This is a risky pick, I think.
But
for
when you see
Elevate.
Agni and Odin, you think, yeah, no CC immune ultimates. I think Ares is going to ult and hover in the air for a few seconds, and when he does, hell is going to rain down on him. Birds and bombs of both varieties are about to rain down.
Plus, if this is a Nem pick, this is a free Nem pick right here in my mind for Astral Authority. It's another god that relies on mobility that doesn't have a CC immune ultimate, but it's another god that just tears Ares to shreds as soon as he uses a blink ultimate. Astral just needs to be wary of that. If as soon as Hamster blinks in and uses that ultimate, just use that Nem ult immediately. Just Nem ult him, kill him, take your fight 5v4.
I do think IAmTheHamster going to have a very good game here on the Ares. He's going to have a standout play, I feel.
It has to be.
Got to be, because otherwise he's going to be the focal point, I feel, of Astral's comp. With what
It
they've drafted
definitely
here.
is the focal point here for either side. If Hamster has a great game, Elevate win game 1. If he doesn't, Astral do.
Well, I guess I don't need to ask him. He's already given us the prediction. Standing by at the casters. Let's get to it.
Thanks a lot, friends. Tom and Taco here for the 4th game of tonight. It's a mess right now, but the gameplay should be a little bit cleaner. Watching these guys, I think they've got all the picks that they want.
And I think that both of these teams, I mean, they're very familiar with each other. Astral Authority and Elevate, it's been like a battle of the ages, really, for Season 5, especially during the online portion. They ended up having to face off against each other more often than not. And so here, today, in a LAN environment, probably won't be much different.
Yeah, it should be really exciting. That said, after the picks and bans, you and I were kind of talking a little bit. Astral have A+ draft as far as I'm concerned. Looking across the way, might be a little bit different.
Yeah, that draft, I think the Nemesis pick is what really sold me over on it, because you can always look at a draft and be like, oh yeah, no, I could definitely see the strengths of both teams, but
Sure.
Nemesis does everything that pretty much Elevate are trying to do. Elevate, I think, are really looking for that AoE team control, but it's just going to get torn apart, whether it's Nexamiss or IAmTheHamster. Both of those candidates just can't really afford to go in, because if they initiate, Astral Authority is just going to gobble them right up.
And here's the problem, is that Boronic's able to keep the control from a distance as well on the Agni. Agni, I think, is one of the better picks these days in the mid lane. He provides the late game damage, but also brings the control. Doesn't really have to choose. It's just a knockout pick here. And Astral Authority, not just that, you mentioned the Nemesis, I mentioned the Agni, and at the end of the day, we would be remiss if we didn't mention Wolves. But y'all seem to be on the side of Elevate.
This is a little bit spicy, actually. I think that Mixer chat going to be leaning so heavily towards Elevate even. I mean, Elevate did have a little bit of a cleaner performance against the other European team there, Fable. And we just saw that previous set between Fable and Rival, where Fable unfortunately ended up falling 2-0, but certainly a lot of promise and potential to still be had from the secondary European team coming out here to this LAN. And I do think that Elevate certainly are aware of their shortcomings in their first set today.
Sure. Yeah, Elevator, and that makes you a stronger team, knowing that you have your own limitations. But watching these guys go head-to-head against the Astral Authority should be a little bit different. DoctorL has been around the block a little bit, so is Crimson. Crimson previously playing with Inbowned across the way, so no strangers to each other. And Mr. White, although he's kind of part of this secondary Xbox generation, certainly has been around, and people are well aware of what to expect.
When Mr. White first broke into the console scene, actually, I mean, people would clown him all the time just for being a Ho-Yi main. Speaking of which, DoctorL getting a little festive there with Layers in the mid lane, kind of just battling it out pretty early on already.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like watching these guys, and the scene has been a lot of fun to really pay attention to, and watching these players sort of develop has been great. I mean, Inbound, again, sort of that second generation, ton of personality on this guy, and Wolves, previously a little bit quiet, has kind of sort of woken up over there. Same thing with Oboronic as well, but middle lane, DoctorL getting into a little bit of trouble, but Crimson keeping everybody at bay.
Can't get too cozy just yet, because even though that looks as though Elevate were on the worse end of things, it turns out that they get the better, because DoctorL gets to invade Layers back harpies for free. And on top of all that, that means that Crimson can now clear the harpies that DoctorL would have originally taken for himself from his own farm, and just helps put both of them a little bit further ahead.
I like that play from Nexamiss, stunning Wolves as soon as he jumps. Now, we didn't time it perfectly, but if you actually crowd control Odin the second he lands, the damage from lunge doesn't actually apply.
Most of the time, you can even avoid the burp bomb damage in general if you just catch that timing. So it will be a really important. It's not a very large window that you have to work with here.
It's so small.
Nexamiss has to be really on his A game if he wants to continue to do so. And those kind of minuscule plays are going to be so crucial during the actual team fights.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what separates. That's what's going to wind up separating these two teams as they come together. And we talked about the personalities on the side of Astro. Well, we got a chance to talk to DoctorL and Hamster earlier on. And Hamster, this is his first LAN here, but not concerned whatsoever, still very confident.
I think it was a little bit more nervous yesterday, even
Yeah.
because I got a chance to speak to the teams yesterday, and he seemed as though he was a bit concerned. But what I loved about it is that the entirety of Elevate just kept telling him the whole way through, dude, you have nothing to worry about. It's just like playing at home. The only difference is we're all hanging out as a team now. And I think that that's awesome, seeing how one team is just so willing to try and talk one of their boys up, just make sure that he stays in the right mindset.
I mean, that's what makes a team a team. It separates the teams from the groupings of 5 players, and that might sound a little bit silly, but when you've been here, you've played on a pro end team, and I've been watching this for years and years. You start to notice these differences, and you see that differential between the top squads in the middle of the pack.
And Elevate, I think it's been kind of a clash of the titans between these two teams, especially in North America box scene. I do feel as though Astral Authority, that roster swap where they picked up Inbowned, made all the difference in the world. I think that they were just really missing that strong shot calling factor, and that's what Bobby tends to bring to the teams that he participates in. It seems as though he has no clue what he's doing at times, and he even baits us, I would say, the casting team, into trying to figure out what the hell it is that's going on in his brain, and then you realize he's got some 200 IQ play happening, like what we saw in that earlier set, even, where he just baits the entirety of Rival into Boronic's Giannis ult.
He reminds me of a young Rapper. That was Rapper's playstyle once upon a time, where he would just walk into the enemy jungle, and then the rest of Panthera would show up and smack everybody in the face. And that's really how Inbound has developed. And, for what it's worth, I think that for Astral Authority, they've had that leadership. Brochacho definitely did not fall short in that leadership role. For me, I think the bigger change is the mid lane. Coviiii shifting from that mid lane over to the side, leaving room for oBoronic, who has been a standout player, not just here, but beforehand. And, they picking up this mid laner has been a huge deal for Astral Authority. I think that's the biggest change here.
And for what it's worth, I do think that we've seen more out of Coviiii today than what we have throughout the entirety of the online Season 5 split so far, because he was struggling quite a bit in that duo lane, but seems to have stepped it up a little bit here at LAN, and that's going to be really important as well, because Astral Authority, I mean, they can't really afford any more slip-ups. They need to find a victory win if they want to head into the finals, and the same could be said for Elevate. But it's pretty interesting to me that with so much on the line, or at least an easier pathway to the finals through the winner's bracket with that 1-game advantage, that they let Wolves have Odin.
Yeah, I touched upon it, but I didn't really go into it. I mean, Wolves and Odin, first of all, I love they picked it early in the draft because they know that Crimson wants to play the Thoth, so they kind of shut that down by way of Odin, and picking the Thoth into Odin is a confidence move. But beyond all the X's and O's, this is the character that Wolves came onto the scene with and said, look, I am better than you. I don't care who you are. I'm better than you. And he was for a large portion of his career. Right now, I think he's come a little bit down to earth. I think he's now a little bit more mortal, but still, the Odin is absolutely his comfort pick, and you got to be scared.
He can bleed, but it usually comes at the expense of the enemy team, because having to invest the 3 to 4 ultimates, sometimes even all 5 on Wolves is pretty desperate, I would say, in order to take out a solo laner, but it can be that important of a pick. Wolves tends to have some very impactful early game rotations, and that's kind of what he's always on the lookout for whenever provided the opportunity to do so.
Astral mentioned how adept he is at using that teleport for the rotations. Right now, not going to be rotating. It's all about the jungle. Look at the hamster is Nemesis. There's the Ares ult. Will he get the pull? He does. Inbound gets pulled, so does Layers, but Inbound goes right for the Ares, and he gets the kill. First blood by way of the support, and it looks like Inbound might even get out of there, giving chase to Oscar. Layers takes down Mr. White. 2 kills for Astral Authority.
Fat Man Slam, right in action.
Yep.
IAmTheHamster trying to make it happen, just immediately controlled and executed. The Nemesis ultimate, that's what you're probably going to expect to see throughout the entirety of this match. Astral Authority have got this Ares number on lock.
Aggro said it on the desk, and I mean, that's a It's a man after my own heart. He said, look, this is about IAmTheHamster, period, end of story, for both teams. If Ares is able to beat Ares, Elevate can win. But if Ares falls victim to Layers Nemesis, then they can't. And unfortunately for them and their fans, Taco, I think what we just saw is very representative of what we're going to continue seeing. I think Layers has this guy in his sights.
And with all of that in mind, that to me should be the message very clearly sent to Elevate, that they need to prioritize their focus elsewhere. They can't rely on IAmTheHamster to be that huge initiating factor that I think they were looking for to burn out actives. They must force Layers ultimate off cooldown. That way it doesn't have to pose a threat against Elevate whenever they are actually trying to find some picks.
Elevate here looking to bounce back. I mean, like you said, they've got to look elsewhere, but where specifically would you like to see them?
Well, you don't really want to worry about the solo lane because of this right here. Wolves, plenty tanky. You're not going to really get too much out of that. And in fact, Nexamiss could be in a little bit of trouble here. He keeps eating these auto attacks. Going to try and toss out a paralyzing spit here in a moment, looking for the stun. No, instead just jumps away entirely, not even bothering to try and return poke.
Yeah, Wolves with control of this lane, drops the ultimate ult for ult, and then continues with the damage as well. So a nice look so far.
Going back to what you said, though, it's got to be punished towards the mid laner.
Oh, and that's what they're doing. Barana gets caught up and killed before DoctorL even hits the ground. Crimson from a distance, taking care of business. Barana sits down.
It's almost impossible to expect Crimson to not take Thoth whenever it's open, because
Even
this
into
is
the
his
Odin.
signature god. He'll pick it no matter what the circumstances are, because chances are he'll hard carry on it. And Astral Authority definitely came into this game fully aware of that. I mean, Inbowned used to be his former teammate. Those two know each other like the back of each other's hands.
Well, Hamster now looking for Layers. Will not get the pull. Does get the damage. Not enough to confirm the kill just yet. Nexamiss, however, he just got in trouble, and then he goes to push the proxy. Taco, that was not the look. Wolves doesn't even raise an eyebrow. I hope you guys were looking at the player cam. He gets that solo kill by himself and just like, okay, guys, I killed him. Like business.
Here's the problem I have with that, though. Not from Wolves' end, but that just shows me Wolves is expecting to get that solo kill. If you're not even reacting and you're not even celebrating that in a LAN, that's some confidence.
Yeah, no, that's Wolves just, and like I said, I mean, it's been a while since we've seen Wolves be the guy that everybody's afraid of, but I mean, it's still there. Nexamiss going in, Nexamiss, that's Wolves just being like, I told you. Nexamiss gets caught up in the lane, and Wolves misses the kill by a little bit. And then the next time we see them, he's behind Wolves' tier 1. Wolves is sitting there like, boy, I told you.
But that's really unfortunate for the rest of Elevate, because with the solo lane being so heavily controlled, it means that Layers can just focus mid and duo even more so. And if that keeps occurring and Wolves keeps controlling that side of the map super hard, DoctorL can't really afford to rotate. If he rotates, that's a Gold Fury. That's going to be a T1 tower, whether it's in mid or if it's in duo. It doesn't matter. Even the slightest bit of map pressure in Astral's favor could be very problematic.
Bobby dashes in by himself and will go ahead and pick up Crimson's beads. So no beads for the mid lane mage. DoctorL by himself uses the ultimate defensively. Mr. White going to jump on out of there as well. And Tusky is still lurking, but no kill just yet.
Wolves coming in a little bit later to this rotation and actually decides to turn right back around, knowing that the call has probably been made, that nothing else is going to happen. Coviiii using the boar, though, means that Mr. White can play a little bit more aggressive if he wants to. He's just got to look out for those traps on the ground. If he's trying to find that standard Mark of the Crow, dive in, and then look for the ricochet stun off of the knockup.
Yeah, Coviiii can just trap his feet and make sure that you can't jump on him or anything right there. So Wolves here getting his own blue buff contested. Gonna lock DoctorL in the cage. Here comes help from Nexamiss as well, but honestly, Wolves just doesn't seem to mind. He's taking his level 13 directly to DoctorL, and the 2v1. Wolves again emotionless as he takes care of business. Across the way, his Hunter does fall down, but Wolves doesn't seem to mind whatsoever.
At least there was a response, though, from Elevate. They
Yes.
managed to find a pick on the
Yes.
Coviiii and the duo side, which shifts a little bit of that attention away from solo, because with the way that Astral are grouping in the mid lane, I think they were maybe looking towards that Gold Fury pretty early on. They have a composition that can burn it.
I think you're exactly correct. No part of me disagrees with you. I think that had Coviiii been alive, that's enough damage to go ahead and take the big harpy. But Elevate with a smart plan, isolate the damage dealer and take care of that, so Astral Authority will not have the opportunity to look for the gold. They will not get the objective and just pick up the kill.
And Coviiii, he won't have those purification beats for a while, but the CC immunity on his ultimate is going to be really important for him to play around. IAmTheHamster most likely going to be looking for every opportunity he can to try and force that one out, because then Mr. White will just have an even easier time potentially finding a solo kill underneath that Sunbreaker.
Yeah, Mr. White's got to be able to look for those opportunities. And the Sunbreaker is going to be a great team fight ultimate as well, as Elevate starts to look towards the mid-game around this Gold Fury. 14 minutes, or just 10 seconds shy of it, rather. And Astral Authority are getting ready to really look for this Gold Fury. They want the fight. They don't really have a big lead, so it'd be an even fight, but Astral Authority are feeling confident, I think.
Can't tell just yet whether or not that was a regular ward that IAmTheHamster placed, or if it was a sentry. Looks as though it might have been his sentry ward, because his ward chalice is still full up. And if that was a sentry, kind of surprising that Elevate would let Coviiii clear it for free.
Yeah. Ward vision battles are always interesting. One more time, Nexamiss finds himself under duress. Wolves here, just pushing into a little bit of everything. Level 16. Not a care in the world for Wolves here. No tier 1 tower for Nexamiss to fall back to.
Wolves is just hyper farming right now. He's trying to hit level 20 as soon as possible, because once he starts rotating, man, I have no clue how Elevate burst down this tanky Odin. On Keeley, fully stacked Warrior's Blessing, it's evolved. You get the Breastplate of Valor. I mean, 30% cooldown reduction on an Odin at 15 minutes. He's legit farming more than 1 level a minute right now.
Layers gonna get chained up here. Hamster and his friend zoned out. Oboronic dashes away, and here comes Layers. You get pulled in, and that's one dead jungler. Elevate, respond nicely off of IAmTheHamster.
Didn't even have a chance to turn around. Nexamiss still looking for more, though, because Wolves was hovering around in the mid lane. 4-man grouping, 5-man grouping by Elevate, but that's DoctorL trailing around those left mid harpies. He's looking for a pick.
Nice stun again. Coviiii gonna walk away here. Wolves also on the Odin. Well-known, infamous is the word I will use. Infamous for being an early game character. But the problem with early game characters is that if you give them a lead, that's not true anymore, because they're able to carry that early game into the mid and potentially late game. Wolves level 17 in juxtaposition to a level 12 jungler, a level 11 support. Wolves is going to make this hurt right now against Crimson. He's 2 levels higher, jumped on top, and Crimson, he's gone after this. See you later.
I just know that Bobby 100% did that on purpose.
Oh yeah.
Khumba ultimate on the 10 HP target. It's a whole nother level of confirming.
I mean, Khumba does a ton of damage. And you know what? To be fair, everybody else's stuff was on cooldown. I like that secure. It definitely looked funny.
His dash was about to come back up, so
yeah.
I do respect the decision, but it is just a classic inbound play there that he would take the last hit.
Yeah, that's who Inbound is, and what a pleasure it's been watching him really become a part of this scene. You know, we're talking about the personalities on this side, and he's kind of led the way. Hamster and White, a little quiet here, but not quite in-game. They're on the Gold Fury right now, and them and DoctorL going to look towards Inbound. Mr. White getting aggressive, dropping the Suns, and Inbound walking around it. Hamster up north, and it doesn't look like they're going to be able to catch up as AA makes the rotation, but cut short. Gold Fury might be the target one more time for Elevate, like it was before, but I think it's dangerous.
Possibly. I mean, the dual lane from Astral is pretty poked out. Inbound going to get caught up in that stun from Mr. White, but now Mr. White going to take some return and end damage out of Coviiii. just doing his best to protect his support, and it will be successful. Right now, Mr. White is just left to kind of farm the duo lane on his own because IAmTheHamster is splitting farm elsewhere, which I think that Elevate need to do. It's important that they let Mr. White keep up the lead that he's already had established.
Right. I mean, there's on this Coviiii who, I mean, Coviiii is a mid to late game character, really needs that free farm, allow himself to get those levels online, and of course the itemization. Going directly into the early Chin side, very interesting. Coviiii with the Caval is going to be able to fight a little bit better as far as 1v1 is concerned. Why do you think we see White go into the Chin side here?
To be completely honest, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I feel as though this is an unnecessary Chin size pickup, and I say that simply because of the fact that all of that physical defense that Wolves has, there's one thing in common with it. He just started picking up health. Mid Guardian just has like even the slightest bit of health right now, and it's still not impactful enough, I think, to warrant the Chin size. I think an Executioner would have gone a much further way for Mr. White here. I do respect the fact, though, that he's not trying to match the critical strike damage out of the Artemis,
right,
and is opting more for the attack speed pen route, because I think that's going to be a little bit more important here against Astral Authority's composition in the later stages.
Especially when you start looking at characters like Nemesis, right? They're able to return damage or reflect damage even without the thorns. That's the word I'm looking for, right? They just built into the kit, so something that Elevate certainly have to keep in mind, and Mr. White has been building appropriately. Blue buff again, stolen away from Nexamiss.
He just doesn't stand a chance.
And
on
it's
his
funny
buffs. I mean, that's not his blue, to be fair.
No, but he hasn't had a blue all game, and then he finally finds himself near a blue buff, and he still can't get it. Oh, poor dog. Poor dog. Astral Authority looking for the Gold Fury. Wolves is the local. With Nexamiss across the map, this is time to collapse.
Well, Astral don't seem to have any intentions of leashing this Gold Fury until Elevate is provoked to commit. And Nexamiss hanging around in this mid lane, wants to go in for more. Gonna force out the jump from Mr. White is Inbound, playing zone duty for the moment. But Nexamiss, there's 5 members all around him, and not a single one of them are his team.
And Nexamiss going to be in trouble. Coviiii will pop the board. Gold Fury going to be stuck in the middle of everything. Nexamiss pretty low, however. There's chains coming out from IAmTheHamster. Wolves chained up, but not too big of a deal. As we watch these players come together, IAmTheHamster is in trouble. He's going to get a pull. 2 players pulled, but at what cost? LayersOD going OD. Crimson Answer is back. That'll be kill number 4 for Elevate. DoctorL in some trouble. He'll hold that L. Wolves coming out of nowhere with the big man slam. Double for more Wolves. Number 8 for Astral Authority. And a good job so far. Wolves just on a tear.
And Wolves not looking to let Crimson get away. He's going to force him all the way back to the Phoenix. That Thoth is just on the run here. Oboronic and Inbound, make sure to strip away that red buff, because quite frankly, I don't think they had the damage to take out the Gold Fury within a timely enough fashion to where Elevate couldn't respond. That team fight, though, kind of just falls apart for me because Nexamiss jumped the gun a little bit too soon for what it's worth. I think that he flanked too early, and that resulted in Astral Authority just having the positioning advantage. They just dropped all around the Cerberus, forced him more towards the Gold Fury, but that was only after they'd already removed like 60% of his HP.
Yeah, and that was, Nexamiss is just not having the impact that he wants right now. And looking at the build, I see the Wing Blade, I see the Void Stone. I understand those picks, but I also understand that that's not what he needs to do right now. He just needs to be tanky.
I want to see Nexamiss on a more aggressive solo laner. I know that Cerberus is definitely one of the more promoted solos as of late, because Guardians have been kind of running things in Season 5 for the solo lane, but against Wolves, especially Wolves is Odin, I think you need another warrior there that can keep Wolves a little bit more in check. Nexamiss on the Cerberus, he's just going to automatically default the lane pressure to Wolves, whether it's intentional or not.
Exactly, and I mean, I'll be honest. I'll be frank. I don't think you have an answer to Wolves' Odin as far as matching that aggression. I think the best you can do is kind of like stalemate and hope for the best. I'm still with you. I think that I would like to see him at least try to raise the bar a little bit, but not going to be the case.
Well, Coviii's not going to have any sort of case whatsoever because IAmTheHamster is going to make sure to get the kill on that one. Sprint has been expended by Inbound, and the rest of Astral Authority maybe looking to collapse for more. Wolves use a teleport to get over here, but same for Nexamiss. And with the Gold Fury still on the table and a 4v5 advantage, this could very well be Elevate's opening.
They're starting the Gold Fury right now. Nexamiss, look at his zone. Got to keep Inbound in mind. He is over the wall, doesn't have Blink available, but certainly will be lurking. Pinged out by Crimson. Now here comes Wolves. 1 versus 3, trying to jump on everybody. Layers is going to be able to come through and find an ultimate as well. There's Wolves jumping forward, and the suns come down out of Mr. White. Trying to fight into this one. Elevate. Big, huge play by Nexamiss, but where's the response? It's on the other side. Layers of Death takes down Mr. White. And although Astral are relatively low, that's the only kill that's going to go down, but Elevate has been stopped. And the objective won't go to the blue team.
It's not even about where's the response, where's the damage?
Yeah.
It felt like Crimson was tickling Wolves. That final judgment, even though it wasn't fully charged, sure, but I didn't expect it to do such little damage against Wolves. I mean, it barely managed to take out the shield from the Odin. I can't even imagine it trying to clean him up, and that looked like it was such a promising play for Elevate. Instead, they're out every single one of their team fighting ultimates, and Astral Authority, they've got the Gold Fury at 50% health.
Still ticking down to about a quarter, and with Inbound finding the ultimate, that one's going to go the way of AA, nice and easy. So about 4,000 gold leading for Astral Authority right now.
It's such an unforgiving team composition that Elevate have drafted for, because
it's a great word.
If they're not able to execute their team comp and actually secure those kills, then Astral just reset, come right back in, take the objective, go home for free.
Celebrate right now. Pyromancer here. Looks like it's all Astrals. Hamster's going to show up, but won't be able to do much as the Ares. So 3 bombs, 1 Pyromancer. And Astral Authority find themselves pushing their lead forward even more so at the 25-minute mark.
Ares, in a way, kind of just feels like a walking ward for the team.
Do you mean in general or just this game?
I think this game especially, but also in general. I don't know about you, but whenever I see an Ares player on my team, they're usually somewhere they shouldn't be, and so I automatically default to viewing them as the team ward that's just like a little bit global but kind of not meant to be.
Ares in the world of ranked and casual play, Ares is very similar to Hades players and Loki players in my experience, where this guy always has set way too many hours on the character.
Like 6 stars.
Yeah, like 16 stars, right, surrounding the little square, and they're either extremely good and carry to victory, or they feed their brains out. And even at the pro level here, I find the same thing kind of happens with Ares, where either he's the reason the team wins, or when he's up there in the Power Fist ultimate, he's the reason the team loses because you just kind of collapsed on him, especially with the Nemesis.
I think the only team that we've really seen pull off the Ares consistently is Rival.
Yeah.
Callis is a pretty incredible Ares. Same could be said even for Deathwalker. I don't know, though, if we can keep crediting Deathwalker for that, since it happened so long ago now. And I think it's time we handed that one over to Callis officially.
Yeah. For what it's worth, you know, Astral's old support had a very strong Ares. El Brochacho, very strong Ares, and everybody keeps talking about Inbound, and he certainly has affected this team, but there are so many similarities between the way Inbound and Brochacho played the game on the battlefield that for me it's still all about oBoronic there. Actually kind of quiet this game for a change. Wolves going to start things off on the back line. 25% of the tower still. Very split up is Astral Authority, but DoctorL going to get collapsed on. Big boy ultimate. Here comes Hamster.
They were just waiting to see who would come in first, and IAmTheHamster is trying to help out the rest of his team on the back end, but Crimson managed to find them on the front still. That range out of the Thoth going to make sure to take out Coviiii in the process. Artemis just not mobile enough to get away.
Here's the blink forward. 2 players collapsing on oBoronic. Layers is able to turn into it. oBoronic does fall down. Layers still on the run. Great response from Elevate, though. Fantastic. Inbound gonna die here. Oh, wait, here comes Wolves! Oh, Wolves half HP, trying to kill out Mr. White. Absolutely will. Bobby will fall down, but Wolves, something out of nothing. That's the subtitle right here. As he locks 3 in the cage and fights into it. He fights into it, Taco. He does eventually run away.
I don't know if you get to win a team fight as long as Wolves is in existence.
No.
Elevate have to kill this Odin. There's no way around it any longer. He's just survived time and time again, been a part of 8 out of 11 kills, and just keeps making sure that even when Elevate win, they still lose.
It's so impressive watching this happen with Wolves because, like I said, I mean, this guy was the star, the uncontested best player on the console scene, and then everybody grew up, and Wolves kind of came back down to earth. And this is the style of game that we were used to seeing in Wolves, just like hard carry, dude.
And what gets me about this is even better still. Astral Authority going to be the ones pulling this fire giant, completely tearing it apart. Nexamiss doesn't even know. By the time he finds out, it's only going to be because of the audio cue way too late
See you later.
of a response.
Oh, man, Wolves still rocking that old mortality tag. Mortality, a defunct organization, started once upon a time in Smite. And these days, it's funny because that was the mortality tag. Now, just read more Wolves. That's a great name by itself. Because Astral Authority fans at home, they're watching this game, and you know what they want? They want more Wolves. That's what they want.
Oh, I think Elevate want a lot less of Wolves.
Less Wolves. Less Wolves.
But they are just having such a struggle here, trying to find a way to work around the Odin. Even when they try to ignore him, Wolf just stands right in front of them. He just eggs you on every single time. He's like, go for it.
Yep.
Try and kill me and see what happens to your back line.
And he used to be Transonics with a longtime teammate. Transonics, another quiet guy, and I've always liked their approach to the game where people would say, yo, like, you're superstar, like, talk trash. And the approach that Wolves has, very similar to Transonics again, Wolves is always just like, nah, man, I let my gameplay do the talking. I don't really need to say much if I play the way I do. And, you know, coming out to a weekend like this is exactly what it means. He doesn't need to say much if he's just going to be crunching down on people like he is right now.
One thing's for sure. That bounce was definitely for show.
Yeah.
Because he missed the entire wave.
He didn't do any damage.
I feel you, man. I totally understand. But at least you found a new one. That's what I like to tell people is like, I'm just seeing if this will even work.
Just trying it. Just test the water.
My favorite is Coviii's scoreline, though, by far. I feel like if you ask anybody from Astral Authority what they have to say about their hunter, Coviiii, this is probably the reference point that they give you. And they're like, he is perfect for objectives, guys.
Yeah. I mean, he's got 9,000 player damage.
What about that structure?
Yeah.
You
there it
gotta add
is.
the two. See, look at that.
There it is.
14K easy.
Need a hunter. Inbound, gonna get stunned out just a little bit. Wolves on the right. Layers on the far right. The way back, as we used to call it in the caravan.
You ever do that, though? You like adding? I like to add my player damage and structure damage personally.
That's how you know you're a hunter player. You filthy hunter player. Astral Authority barking down the left side. Phoenix right side is going to be handled by the Nemesis. Nexamiss, on the other hand, using the ultimate. Inbound finds him immediately. And the Cerberus will be the focus for now. There's the Sun's drop by Mr. White. And the Phoenix still in trouble. Half HP here on the left. Also half HP off camera on the right-hand side. Layers able to dance with DoctorL.
By the way, Wolves is in your base.
Yeah.
Chilling.
Just killing your dudes. Big pull. Won't happen. Coviiii gets the kill on the IAmTheHamster. Nexamiss here by himself, but Coviiii focusing on that structure damage. Down goes the Phoenix. And the shift over to the mid lane is rife.
Should be a little bit easier to control this as well because it's technically only 3 members
Big
left to
bounce.
defend.
Nice stuff coming out from Mr. White, but just perhaps a little bit too late. Inbound here, though, taking a ton of damage. So is Coviiii. DoctorL with the up down, but Mr. White falls down to the hand of the support. 2 players down to the side of Elevate. Coviiii, the only one missing in an Astral jersey. That said, Coviiii gets the kill after the fact. 1 player left to play defense. Mid lane Phoenix is here. Hamster is going to survive, but I think this could be it, Taco.
I think this should be it. More than anything else, Astral Authority will have to deal with IAmTheHamster as he is freshly respawned, but they just have so much AoE damage because of the Agni that it doesn't even matter. Astral Authority just slowly chipping away at this Titan, and before you know it, that's game 1.
20,000 gold in the lead. Wolves over there at the far end of your camera. Hands above his head, just very, very comfortable. There's Vinny in the back, by the way. Just want to point out our admin. But great job coming out from the Astral guys. I mean, just another day at work.
Isn't that Baskin's favorite admin? Definitely not Cooper.
No.
Vinny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vinny's a lot of players' favorite admins. And right now, Astral have him in their corner. Although I don't think they need anything extra here. Lot of juice in their tank so far. The Elevate guys, though, a little bit different.
On the bright side, there is a bright side for Elevate, no matter how messy game 1 looked for them. And
Sure.
I say that because you have to consider this seemed more like a drafting flaw as opposed to like a mechanical or decision-making errors. I think that Elevate from the start were handed some very unfortunate playing cards. It felt like the entire deck was rigged against them, and that just goes back to the picks and bans. That Nemesis pick, especially by Layers, was just so smart.
And again, we keep talking about Wolves' Odin and how that's the character that he was known for and everything. Nemesis in the hands of Layers, also the case. P.S. It worked into their composition as well. All the ducks in a row for the squad here, taking the victory. Astral, 1-0. We'll break it down.
Well, Astral did get it, indeed, 1-0, but it wasn't an easy one. That's only game 1, Aggro.
No, it's only game 1, but I mean, when Astral's playing this well, it's going to be difficult for Elevate to try and bounce back. And I think that they touched on it beautifully there at the end, is that Wolves is playing a signature god, Layers is playing a signature god, and they both work together against what Elevate wanted to do. But it really was just kind of the Wolves show, wasn't it? I mean, the dude was just beasting on people with this Odin, and this is what I had to deal with when I was playing. He's been doing it for that long, where you don't like, it doesn't even make sense. I've seen a million players play Odin. They don't do the stuff that Wolves does, and I don't know. My job is to break down Smite, and I honestly don't know what it is that makes him so damn good at this god and so effective at it. But every time Wolves gets it, he just plays like this. It really feels that way.
Sometimes you can put a lot of hours into a god, though, to get these results. You know, like you play every matchup, you know how to swing, you know when the best time to get out and engage is, how big your shield's going to be, you know, small little details like that about how the build's going to work. Great game for him. He is MVP. As you can see, the replays coming through here. Will he get it again in game 2? Because, Ryan, that was only game 1.
I mean, maybe. Yes, he gets it in game 1 there, but in game 2, is that going to be something that Elevate looks to take off the table? And that's what's so hard against playing against a team that has Wolves on it, is you go in the picks and bans and you go, all right, guys, do we really have to ban Odin here? Like, are you serious? Is this what really we're going to have to ban Odin? Are we going to have to pick our entire team composition around if Wolves is going to get Odin? And sometimes the answer to that is yes. Sometimes you do have to ban it. Sometimes you do have to pick your entire 5 gods and what the other 5 gods on the other side are going to be, as if Wolves could play Odin, because chances are that he will, like he did in game 1.
Yeah, we'll see.